Now, I would like to take you through a troubleshooting guide for the EZ or EZ Box 2, which is the valve from Abacus bathrooms. I've already done an installation guide to this, so hopefully you shouldn't have any trouble. If you've installed it properly, you won't have any problems. But we do get people who put the hot and cold the wrong way round. So first thing is check that the hot and cold are the right way round. The next thing, if you've got a two-way valve, it should be plumbed up to A and C, and if you've got a three-way valve, it's A, B and C. So once you know that, you can check that you've got water coming out of there. Now, there's another thing that happens quite a lot, and that is scale. With any shower valve, you've got to service it, especially if you live in a hard water area. It may be something that needs to be done every year, but at least, every couple of years you really need to have a look, and that will improve the performance of the valve. And it's very, very easy to do. You turn off the water, you undo the valves, and then you put them in a descalant fluid, leave them maybe overnight, pop them back in, maybe with a tiny smear of silicone grease on them, and then put them back in, and you'll find that it'll work as good as new. The other thing that you can check is the actual check valves, which are in here. Now these are designed to stop any backflow on the water, contamination, so you get these in a lot of valves now, and these are different. The hot and the cold are different. You can see there that the ports on this one are in a different position on the valve to that one. So if you took a couple of check valves out and you clean them up and you put them the wrong way round, you wouldn't get any water out. So you'd soon know if you swap them over and the water came out. If for some reason the valve has malfunctioned, I mean, after a few years they might just, the thing will get clogged up and start singing. You sometimes get kind of odd sounds from check valves. Then if you replace them, make sure that you use the right one for the hot and the right one for the cold, because if you take one out and you see that the port's on the bottom there rather than on the top, then you just replace it like for like and you won't have any trouble. You can see that the whole thing is sealed with O-rings there. Again, a little smear of silicone grease when you pop them back in and they should be fine. So most of the problems you're going to get with any shower valves are due to living in a hard water area. So what you can do there is you can put a water softener in or some kind of descalant device to help, but I think generally you would still need to service that valve every so often. So when I say it's always a good idea to service them, actually it is a statutory requirement now. If you've got TMV2, you need to make sure that you service it periodically, they say, but if you're in a hard water area, you're living in a hard water area, then maybe 2 years is very advisable. Now, I've already mentioned that you should pump this the right way round and follow the instructions. I do say follow the instructions, but if you do go wrong, and you can see this one is a two-way valve, in other words, you've got the port coming through the bottom and it goes out to the two diverters, the shower head and maybe the hand spray if you like. But if you plumb this the wrong way round and you'd gone in A and B, then all is not lost, because what you do is you swap this out for a three-way, and that would give you the top outlet, and that would be blanked off anyway, so you'd be all right. You can get away with it, and you don't need to start hacking tiles off. The only thing I would like to say is if you do that, it won't correspond with the indices on the plate. The pictures won't match up with what you're doing, but I think that it's the lesser of two evils. It's that or hacking all the tiles off. So one thing you do find, these can get clogged up, and if you suddenly find that your hot water's not working, your cold water's not working, it's very likely to be that it's just clogged up on this filter. Now, you can clean these, nothing wrong with cleaning them, but sometimes you find that once they've had that kind of punishment that they don't work very well. And as a plumber, if I've got to go out and charge somebody a call out and do the job, I tend to say to them, let's put in new check valves, start from fresh, rather than me trying to fudge it and get it working again and it go wrong a couple of weeks later and me have to charge them even more money. So the final thing I'd like to say is, and I've seen this many times with all kinds of shower valves, is that people turn them past the limit. Now there's a button so you can turn them past that safety stop, and you can carry on. But what happens is that people run out of hot water. Maybe they've got teenage kids who have been in there for an hour, and then they go to have a shower and there's not enough hot water. So what they do is they turn the valve even further. They go, it's got to go hotter and hotter, and then they push it past the limit, and that will either do some internal damage, break off a tiny plastic bit, or it'll just fall off. But the good news is that if that does happen and you're worried about that going too far, then you can reinstate it by getting a new part from Abacus, fitting that, and they've got a new part here which they've tried to redesign to stop people doing that. Let's say never, because there will still be people who just grab that valve and just yank it round to try and get hot water.